What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously here once again. I am here to do my Week 10 college football predictions. Now, with Week 9 in the books, we are now into Week 10 of the college football season, which is 4 weeks left to go. So I'm extremely excited to do my Week 10 college football predictions for you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, our record in Week 9 was fantastic. We went 29-11, so we're coming in insanely hot right now, and I'm looking to keep it that way. So, hoping this video we will continue the winning ways. We're on a 9-week winning streak. Hoping this video we make it 10 weeks in a row. Hopefully. Now, this is the first video of a combined 3-video day on the channel today, guys, and these are the final 3 videos in the month of October. So, if you guys be able to watch this video and all the fantastic videos we put up on the channel in the month of October this year, and as always, show your support on the channel as always, guys, by watching these videos, super kicking those like buttons, hitting that notification bell, and commenting your picks, your opinions, and representing your college football teams in the comment sections down below. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel today, guys, as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video, boy, pick to go in if you're a huge fan of college football like myself, and you're ready for Week 10 of the college football season. Welcome to the Dangerous Alliance. I'm JT Dangerously. Welcome to the club, because this club is just two. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into my Week 10 college football predictions. Let's start off with the game that will happen on Thursday night. It is a Sun Belt East rivalry showdown between the Appalachian State Mountaineers heading to Conway, South Carolina to face the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Now, this is the 9th meeting between Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina. Appalachian State leads the all-time series 7-1. Now, the Mountaineers won last year's meeting over the Chanticleers, and the Chanticleers are looking to defeat the Mountaineers for the first time in 2 years. Now, Appalachian State's coming off their victory over Robert Morris on Saturday. They're coming in at 5-3, and Coastal Carolina is coming off their victory on Saturday night over Marshall, coming in at 7-1. So, coming from me in the Sun Belt East rivalry showdown on Thursday night, I am going to go with Grayson McCall and the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers to get it done at home and defeat the Appalachian State Mountaineers in a shootout. And now the next matchups, which will happen on Friday night. It is an ACC rivalry showdown between the Duke Blue Devils heading to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts to face the Boston College Eagles. Now, this is also the 9th meeting between Duke and Boston College. Boston College leads the all-time series 5-3. Now, the Eagles won the last meeting over the Blue Devils all the way back in 2020, and the Blue Devils are looking to defeat the Eagles for the first time since 2015. Now, Duke is coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 5-3, and Boston College is coming off their loss on Saturday to UConn, coming in at 2-6. So, coming from me in this ACC rivalry showdown on Friday night, I am going to go with the Duke Blue Devils to get it done on the road and defeat the Boston College Eagles in a close one. And now, next matchup on Friday night is a huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Oregon State Beavers heading to Seattle, Washington to face the Washington Huskies. Now, this is the 107th meeting between Oregon State and Washington. Washington leads the all-time series 67-35-4. Now, the Beavers won last year's meeting over the Huskies, and the Huskies are looking to defeat the Beavers for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming off their bye week. Both teams are coming in at 6-2, and both teams are looking to come off a bye with a big victory here. So, coming from me in this huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown on Friday night between these two 6-2 squads, I am going to go with Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies to get it done at home and defeat the Oregon State Beavers in a very close one. And now the Saturday slate, which starts with an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the Navy midshipmen heading to Cincinnati, Ohio to face the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, this is the 6th meeting between Navy and Cincinnati. The series is tied 3-3. Now, the Bearcats have won the last 2 meetings over the midshipmen back in 2018 and last year, and the midshipmen are looking to defeat the Bearcats for the first time since 2017. Now, both teams are coming off very different Week 9s in the American Athletic Conference. The Navy's coming off their victory in overtime over Temple, coming in at 3-5. And Cincinnati's coming off their loss to UCF on Saturday, coming in at 6-2. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Cincinnati Bearcats to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the midshipmen of Navy. And now, next matchup. It is another American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the Houston Cougars heading to Dallas, Texas to face the SMU Mustangs. Now, this is the 37th meeting between Houston and SMU. Houston leads the all-time series 22-13-1. Now, the Cougars won last year's meeting over the Mustangs, and the Mustangs are looking to defeat the Cougars for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming off very good Week 9s in the American Athletic Conference. Houston's coming off their victory over South Florida, coming in at 5-3, and SMU's coming off their victory over Tulsa on Saturday, coming in at 4-4. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Houston Cougars to get it done on the road and get bowl eligible and defeat the SMU Mustangs in a close one. And now next matchup, it is an ACC rivalry showdown between the Syracuse Orangemen heading to Heinz Field to face the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now this is the 77th meeting between Syracuse and Pittsburgh. Pitt leads the all-time series 42-31-3. Now the Panthers have won the last 4 meetings over the Orangemen, dating all the way back to 2018, and the Orangemen are looking to finally defeat the Panthers for the first time since 2017. Now Week 9 was not kind of both these teams. Syracuse is coming off the loss to Notre Dame on Saturday, coming in at 6-2, and Pittsburgh's coming off their loss on Saturday night to North Carolina, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this ACC rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Syracuse Orangemen to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Pittsburgh Panthers. And now next matchup, it is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown between the Iowa Hawkeyes heading to West Lafayette, Indiana to face the Purdue Boilermakers. Now this is the 93rd meeting between Iowa and Purdue. Purdue leads the all-time series 50-39-3. Now the Boilermakers have won the last 2 meetings over the Hawkeyes dating back to 2020 and last year, and the Hawkeyes are looking to finally defeat the Boilermakers for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming off very different Week 9s. Iowa's coming off their big victory over Northwestern on Saturday. They actually scored points in that game for once. They're coming in at 4-4, and Purdue is coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 5-3, looking to get bowl eligible with a victory. So coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Aiden O'Connell and the Purdue Boilermakers to get it done at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Iowa Hawkeyes in a close shootout. And now next matchup, it is a Mountain West Conference Mountain rivalry showdown between the New Mexico Lobos heading to Logan, Utah to face the Utah State Aggies. Now this is the 29th meeting between New Mexico and Utah State. Utah State leads the all-time series 15-13. Now the Aggies have won the last 5 meetings over the Lobos dating all the way back to 2017, and the Lobos are looking to finally defeat the Aggies for the first time since 2016. Now both teams are coming off their bye week. New Mexico's coming in at 2-6, and Utah State's coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Mountain West Conference Mountain rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Utah State Aggies to get it done at home and defeat the New Mexico Lobos. And now next matchup, it is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the UCF Knights heading to Memphis, Tennessee to face the Memphis Tigers. Now this is the 17th meeting between Central Florida and Memphis. UCF leads the all-time series, folks, 14-2. Now the Knights won last year's meeting over the Tigers, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Knights for the first time in 2 years. Now UCF is coming off their huge victory over Cincinnati on Saturday. They are coming in at 6-2, and I know my good friend Scott Weeks in Sports, who is a huge UCF fan, is hopeful his Knights can continue the winning ways and get it done here on the road. The other side, you have the Memphis Tigers coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 4-4, and the Tigers are looking to come off a bye with a victory at home. So coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Scott Weeks in Sports and his UCF Knights to get it done on the road and defeat the Memphis Tigers. And now next matchup, it is an ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between the North Carolina Tar Heels heading to Charlottesville, Virginia to face the Virginia Cavaliers. Now this is the 128th meeting between North Carolina and Virginia. North Carolina leads the all-time series 65-58-4. Now the Tar Heels won last year's meeting over the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers are looking to defeat the Tar Heels for the first time in over 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 9s in the ACC Conference. North Carolina is coming out their victory over Pittsburgh on Saturday, coming in at 7-1, and Virginia is coming out their quadruple overtime loss to Miami on Saturday, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this ACC Coastal rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Mac Brown's North Carolina Tar Heels to get it done on the road and defeat the Virginia Cavaliers. And now next matchup, it is an SEC East rivalry showdown between the Kentucky Wildcats heading to Columbia, Missouri to face the Missouri Tigers. Now this is the 13th meeting between Kentucky and Missouri. Kentucky leads the all-time series 8-4. Now the Wildcats won last year's meeting over the Tigers, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Wildcats for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming off very different Week 9s in the SEC Conference. Kentucky's coming off the loss to undefeated Tennessee on Saturday, coming in at 5-3, and Missouri's coming off their victory over South Carolina on Saturday, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this SEC East rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Will Levis, Mark Stoops, and the Kentucky Wildcats to rebound and bounce back on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Missouri Tigers in a close one. And now next matchup, it is a Big Ten rivalry showdown between the Maryland Terrapins heading to Madison, Wisconsin to face the Wisconsin Badgers. Now this is only the fourth meeting between Maryland and Wisconsin. The Badgers have won the last 3 meetings over the Terps dating all the way back to 2014. So Wisconsin has owned this rivalry for 8 years. Now both teams are coming off their bye week. Maryland's coming in at 6-2 and Wisconsin's coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry showdown, will Wisconsin make it 4 in a row against Maryland? I don't think so. I am going to go with Tallulah Tagovailoa and the Maryland Terrapins to get it done on the road and defeat the Wisconsin Badgers. And now next matchup, it is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the $5 Bits of a Broken Chair trophy between the Minnesota Golden Gophers heading to Lincoln, Nebraska to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now this is the 63rd meeting between Minnesota and Nebraska. Minnesota leads the all-time series 35-25-2. Now the Golden Gophers have won the last 3 meetings over the Cornhuskers, and the Cornhuskers are looking to finally defeat the Golden Gophers for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Big Ten Conference. Minnesota's coming off their victory over Rutgers on Saturday, coming in at 5-3, a win away from bowl eligibility. And Nebraska's coming off their loss to Illinois on Saturday, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown to see who have possession of the $5 Bits of Broken Chair trophy, I am going to go with PJ Fleck's Minnesota Golden Gophers to get it done on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Nebraska Cornhuskers in a close one. And now next matchup, it is a huge Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Texas Longhorns heading to Manhattan, Kansas to face the Kansas State Wildcats. Now this is the 23rd meeting between Texas and Kansas State. Texas leads the all-time series 12-10. Now the Longhorns have won the last 5 meetings over the Wildcats dating all the way back to 2017, and the Wildcats are looking to finally defeat the Longhorns for the first time since 2016. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s. Texas is coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 5-3, looking to get bowl eligible with a victory. And Kansas State's coming off their huge upset over Oklahoma State on Saturday, coming in at 5-2, also looking to get a win and become bowl eligible. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, this one's going to be good. I mean, you got 2 great quarterbacks, Quinn Ellers for Texas and Adrian Martinez for Kansas State. You got 2 fantastic running backs with B. John Robinson against Deuce Vaughn. This one's going to be good in the Big 12, but coming from me, I'm going to go with Quinn Ellers, B. John Robinson, and the Texas Longhorns to get it done on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Kansas State Wildcats in a shootout. Hook 'em. And now next matchup, it is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the UCLA Bruins heading to Tempe, Arizona to face the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now this is the 39th meeting between UCLA and Arizona State. UCLA leads the all-time series 22-15-1. Now the Sun Devils won last year's meeting over the Bruins, and the Bruins are looking to defeat the Sun Devils for the first time since 2020. Now both teams are coming out very good week 9s in the Pac-12 Conference. UCLA is coming off their victory on Saturday night over Stanford, coming in at 7-1, and Arizona State's coming off their victory on Saturday night over Colorado, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, I'm going to go with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, Chip Kelly, and UCLA, and the UCLA Bruins to get it done on the road and defeat the Arizona State Sun Devils. And now next matchup, it is an Ivy League rivalry showdown between the Dartmouth Big Green heading to Princeton, New Jersey to face the undefeated Princeton Tigers. Now this is the 101st meeting between Dartmouth and Princeton. Dartmouth leads the all-time series 51-45-4. Now the Big Green have won the last 2 meetings over the Tigers back in 2019 and last year, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Big Green for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Ivy League. Dartmouth is coming off their loss to Harvard on Saturday, coming in at 2-5, and Princeton's coming off their victory over the Big Red of Cornell on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 7-0. So coming from me in this Ivy League rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the undefeated Princeton Tigers to get it done at home and remain undefeated and defeat the Big Green of Dartmouth. And now next matchup, it is an ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets heading to Blacksburg, Virginia to face the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now this is the 19th meeting between Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech leads the all-time series 11-7. Now the Hokies have won the last 2 meetings over the Yellow Jackets back in 2019 and last year, and the Yellow Jackets are looking to finally defeat the Hokies for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very bad week 9s in the ACC. Georgia Tech is coming off their loss to Florida State on Saturday, coming in at 3-5. 3-5, and Virginia Tech is coming off their loss on Thursday night to NC State, coming in at 2-6. So coming from me in this ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between these two teams that are having a very rough season, I am going to go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets to get it done on the road and defeat the Virginia Tech Hokies in a very close one. And now the next matchup. It is a Conference USA rivalry showdown between the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners heading to Birmingham, Alabama to face the UAB Blazers. Now this is the 7th meeting between Texas San Antonio and University of Alabama Birmingham. UAB leads the all-time series 4-2. Now the Roadrunners won last year's meeting over the Blazers, and the Blazers are looking to defeat the Roadrunners for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s. Texas San Antonio is coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 6-2, and UAB is coming off the loss to Florida Atlantic on Saturday, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this Conference USA rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners to get it done on the road and defeat the UAB Blazers. Meet me. And now next matchup. It is a Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown between the UNLV Rebels heading to San Diego, California to face the San Diego State Aztecs. Now this is the 32nd meeting between UNLV and San Diego State. San Diego State leads the all-time series, folks, 22-9. Now the Aztecs have won the last 3 meetings over the Rebels, dating all the way back to 2019, and the Rebels are looking to finally defeat the Aztecs for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s. UNLV is coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 4-4, and San Diego State's coming off their surprising loss on the road, losing to my city's Fresno State Bulldogs on Saturday night, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the San Diego State Aztecs to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the UNLV Rebels in a close one. And now next matchup. It is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the West Virginia Mountaineers heading to Ames, Iowa to face the Iowa State Cyclones. Now this is the 11th meeting between West Virginia and Iowa State. West Virginia leads the all-time series 6-4. Now the Mountaineers won last year's meeting over the Cyclones, and the Cyclones are looking to defeat the Mountaineers for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming off very bad week 9s in the Big 12 Conference. West Virginia is coming off their heartbreaking loss to undefeated TCU on Saturday, coming in at 3-4, and Iowa State's coming off their loss on Saturday to my Oklahoma Sooners, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Iowa State Cyclones to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the West Virginia Mountaineers in a very close shootout. And now next matchup. It is an SEC West rivalry showdown between the Auburn Tigers heading to Starksville, Mississippi to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now this is the 96th meeting between Auburn and Mississippi State. Auburn leads the all-time series 65-28-2. Now the Bulldogs won last year's meeting over the Tigers, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Bulldogs for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s. Auburn's coming out their loss to Arkansas on Saturday, coming in at a rough 3-5, and Mississippi State's coming out their bye week, coming in at 5-3 with a victory to get bowl eligible. So coming from me in this SEC West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Will Rogers and the Mississippi State Bulldogs to get it done at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Auburn Tigers. And now next matchup. It is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Arizona Wildcats heading to Salt Lake City, Utah to face the Utah Utes. Now this is the 47th meeting between Arizona and Utah. Utah leads the all-time series 25-19-2. Now the Utes have won the last 5 meetings over the Wildcats, dating all the way back to 2016, and the Wildcats are looking to finally defeat the Utes for the first time since 2015. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Pac-12 Conference. Arizona's coming off the loss to USC on Saturday, coming in at 3-5. And Utah's coming off their victory over Washington State on Saturday, coming in at 6-2. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, I will have to say there's the 3 top teams in the Pac-12 right now. That is USC, Oregon, and the Utah Utes. So coming from me, I'm going to go with the Utah Utes to get it done at home and defeat the Arizona Wildcats in a potential blowout. And now next matchup. It is a Big 10 rivalry showdown between the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes heading to Evanston, Illinois to face the Northwestern Wildcats. Now this is the 80th meeting between Ohio State and Northwestern. Ohio State leads the all-time series 64-14-1. Now the Buckeyes have won the last 9 meetings over the Wildcats, dating all the way back to the Jim Tressel days in 2005. And the Wildcats are looking to defeat the Buckeyes for the first time, folks, since 2004. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the the Big Ten Conference. Ohio State's coming off their victory over Penn State on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 7-0. And Northwestern's coming off their loss to Iowa on Saturday, coming in at a rough, and I mean a rough 1-7. So coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry showdown, does Northwestern have a chance to pull off a monumental upset in the Big Ten in this game? I do not think so. I'm gonna go with C.J. Stroud, my pick to win the Heisman Trophy this year, and the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes to get it done on the road and remain undefeated and defeat the Northwestern Wildcats. OHIO. And now next matchup. It is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Oregon Ducks heading to Boulder, Colorado to face the Colorado Buffaloes. Now this is the 24th meeting between Oregon and Colorado. Oregon leads the old-time series 14-9. Now the Duckies have won the last 2 meetings over the Buffaloes dating back to 2019 and last year, and the Buffaloes are looking to defeat the Duckies for the first time since 2016. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Pac-12 Conference. Oregon's coming out their victory over Cal on Saturday, coming in at 7-1, and Colorado's coming off their loss to Arizona State on Saturday night, coming in at a rough, and I mean a rough, 1-7. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, Bo Nix versus JT Stroud. This one should be good, but coming from me, I'm going to go with my good friend Gamer's Goon, Bo Nix, because Bo knows and his Oregon Ducks to get it done on the road and defeat the Colorado Buffaloes in a potential blowout. Quack, quack. And now next matchup between the Dukes of James Madison heading to Louisville, Kentucky to face the Louisville Cardinals. Now both teams are coming off very different week 9s. James Madison's coming off their bye week. They're coming in at 5-2, looking to get bowl eligible with a victory on the road. And Louisville's coming off their big victory over Wake Forest on Saturday, coming in at 5-3, also looking to get bowl eligible with a victory. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with Malik Cunningham and the Louisville Cardinals to get it done at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Dukes of James Madison. And now next matchup. It is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Washington State Cougars heading to Stanford, California to face the Stanford Cardinal. Now this is the 72nd meeting between Washington State and Stanford. Stanford leads the all-time series 40-30-1. Now the Cougars have won the last 5 meetings over the Cardinals dating back to 2016, and the Cardinals are looking to defeat the Cougars for the first time since 2015. Now both teams are coming out very rough week 9s in the Pac-12 Conference. Washington State's coming off a loss on Thursday to Utah, coming in at 4-4, and Stanford's coming off their loss to UCLA on Saturday, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Washington State Cougars to rebound and bounce back on the road and get above 500 and defeat the Stanford Cardinal in a close shootout. And now the next matchup. It is another Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Cal Golden Bears heading to the LA Coliseum to face the USC Trojans. Now this is the 108th meeting between Cal and USC. USC leads the all-time series 71-31-5. Now the Golden Bears won last year's meeting over the Trojans, and the Trojans are looking to defeat the Golden Bears for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Pac-12 Conference. Cal's coming off the loss to Oregon on Saturday, coming in at 3-5, and USC's coming off their big victory over Arizona on Saturday, coming in at 7-1. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, I just have that feeling the Pac-12 championship game is going to be Oregon versus USC. Bo Nix versus Caleb Williams. I just have a feeling that's going to be the Pac-12 championship game this season. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley, and the USC Trojans to get it done at home and defeat the Cal Golden Bears in a potential blowout. And now next matchup, and this matchup I'm extremely excited about because it's the battle of 2 military academies between the United States Air Force Academy Falcons heading to facing the Black Knights of Army. Now this game will be played in Arlington, Texas. Now this is the 57th meeting between the Air Force Academy and the Black Knights of Army. The Air Force Academy leads the all-time series 37-18-1. Now the Black Knights have won the last 2 meetings over the Falcons back in 2020 and last year, and the Falcons are looking to finally defeat the Black Knights for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming off their bye week. Air Force is coming in at 5-3, looking to get bowl eligible, and Army's coming in at 3-4, looking to get back to 500. So coming from me in this battle of the military academies between the United States Air Force and West Point, this one's going to be good, and I have a lot of respect for the Air Force Academy and the boys at West Point, the Black Knights of Army. So this one's going to be fun, and again, thank you for what you guys do for the country, the Air Force Academy and the boys at West Point. But coming from me, I am going to go with the Air Force Academy Falcons to get it done on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Black Knights of Army in a shootout. And now next matchup, it is an ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between the Wake Forest Demon Deacons heading to Raleigh, North Carolina to face the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Now this is the 116th meeting between Wake Forest and NC State. NC State leads the old-time series 67, 42, and 6. Now the Demon Deacons won last year's meeting over the Wolfpack, and the Wolfpack are looking to defeat the Demon Deeks for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the ACC. Wake Forest is coming off the loss to Louisville on Saturday, coming in at 6-2, and NC State's coming out their victory on Thursday night over Virginia Tech, also coming in at 6-2. So coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between these two 6-2 squads, ooh, this one's a tough pick. But I am going to go with the North Carolina State Wolfpack to get it done at home and defeat the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in a very, very close one. And now next matchup, it is a Big Ten rivalry showdown between the Michigan State Spartans heading to Champlain, Illinois to face the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Now this is the 48th meeting between Michigan State and Illinois. Sparty leads the old-time series 26, 19, and 2. Now the Fighting Illini have won the last 2 meetings over Sparty, and the Sparty is looking to defeat the Illini for the first time, folks, since 2013. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan State's coming off their shellacking loss to Michigan on Saturday, coming in at 3-5, and Illinois is coming off another big victory on Saturday, defeating Nebraska, coming in at an impressive 7-1. I will have to say this: Brett Bielema has to be the coach of the year in the Big Ten. I mean, I don't think anybody saw Illinois having this amazing of a year, and I know my good friend the Gamers Goon, who is a die-hard Fighting Illini fan, is happy to see his Fighting Illini in college football having an amazing year with Tommy DeVito, aka Tommy D, baby. So coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry showdown, this one should be good. Peyton Thorne versus Tommy DeVito, a.k.a. Tommy D, baby. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Brett Bielema, Tommy DeVito, and Gamers Goons Fighting Illini of Illinois to get it done at home and defeat the Michigan State Spartans. Fight, Illini, fight! And now next matchup, it is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Oklahoma State Cowboys heading to Lawrence, Kansas to face the Kansas Jayhawks. Now this is the 73rd meeting between Oklahoma State and Kansas. Oklahoma State leads the old-time series, folks, 41, 29, and 2. Now the Cowboys have won the last 12 meetings over the Jayhawks, dating all the way back to 2010, and the Jayhawks are looking to finally defeat the Cowboys for the first time since 2007. Now both teams are coming out very different. Week 9s in the Big 12 Conference. Oklahoma State's coming out their shocking upset loss to Kansas State on Saturday, coming in at 6-2, and Kansas is coming off their bye week, coming in at 5-3, looking to become bowl eligible with a victory. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, man, ever since Kansas lost that TCU game, Kansas has definitely slipped in the Big 12 Conference. But coming from me, I am going to go with Spencer Sanders, Mike Gundy, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Kansas Jayhawks in a shootout. And now next matchup, it is a Big Ten East rivalry showdown between the undefeated Michigan Wolverines heading to New Jersey to face the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now this is the 9th meeting between Michigan and Rutgers. Michigan leads the old-time series 7-1. Now the Wolverines have won the last 7 meetings over the Scarlet Knights, dating all the way back to 2015, and the Scarlet Knights are looking to finally defeat the Wolverines for the first time since 2014. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan's coming off their beatdown victory over Michigan State on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 7-0, and Rutgers is coming off their loss on Saturday to Minnesota, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this Big Ten East rivalry showdown, does Rutgers have a chance to pull off the upset here? Yes, but I don't think it's going to happen here. So coming from me, I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy, Jim Harbaugh, and the undefeated Michigan Wolverines to get it done on the road and remain undefeated and defeat the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. And now next matchup, it is another Big Ten East rivalry showdown between the Penn State Nittany Lions heading to Bloomington, Indiana to face the Indiana Hoosiers. Now this is the 26th meeting between Penn State and Indiana. Penn State leads the old-time series, folks, 23-2. Now the Nittany Lions won last year's meeting over the Hoosiers, and the Hoosiers are looking to defeat the Nittany Lions for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different week 9s in the Big Ten Conference. Penn State's coming off the loss to Ohio State on Saturday, coming in at 6-1, and Indiana's coming off their bye week, coming in at 3-5. So coming from me in this Big Ten East rivalry showdown, Sean Clifford definitely cost Penn State that game against Ohio State. Just too many turnovers cost Penn State that game against the Buckeyes. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Sean Clifford and the Penn State Nittany Lions to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Indiana Hoosiers. We are Penn State. And now next matchup between the BYU Cougars heading to the Smurf Turf in Boise, Idaho to face my Boise State Broncos. Now this is the 13th meeting between BYU and Boise State. Boise State leads the all-time series 8-4. Now my Broncos won last year's meeting over the Cougars, and the Cougars are looking to defeat my Broncos for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different. Week 9's BYU's coming off to a loss to East Carolina on Friday night, coming in at 4-5, looking to get back to 500. And my Boise State Broncos are coming off their big victory on Saturday over Colorado State, coming in at 6-2. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with Taylen Green and my Boise State Broncos to continue the winning ways and get it done at home and defeat the BYU Cougars. And now next matchup. It is an SEC rivalry showdown between the Florida Gators heading to College Station, Texas to face the Aggies of Texas A&M. Now this is only the 6th meeting between Florida and Texas A&M. The series is tied, folks, 3-3. Now the Aggies have won the last 2 meetings over the Gators back in 2017 and 2020, and the Gators are looking to finally defeat the Aggies for the first time since 2012. Now both teams are coming out very rough Week 9s in the SEC Conference. Florida's coming off the loss to undefeated and number one team Georgia on Saturday, coming in at 4-4, and Texas A&M is coming off another loss on Saturday, losing to Ole Miss and coming in at a rough 3-5. So coming from me in this SEC rivalry showdown, Jimbo Fisher's job at Texas A&M is getting slimmer and slimmer of him keeping his job, because if Texas A&M has a bad year this year, Jimbo Fisher is going to be on his way out of College Station. But coming from me, I am going to go with Anthony Richardson and the Florida Gators to rebound and bounce back on the road and get back above 500 and defeat the Texas A&M Aggies. Chomp, chomp. And now next matchup between the undefeated Clemson Tigers heading to South Bend to face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now this is the 7th meeting between Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson leads the all-time series, folks, 4-2. Now the Tigers won the last meeting over the Fighting Irish back at the 2020 ACC Championship game. So these two have not met each other in 2 years. And the Irish's last victory over the Clemson Tigers was on November 7th of 2020. Now Clemson is coming off their bye week. They're coming in undefeated at 8-0. And Notre Dame's coming off their big victory over Syracuse on Saturday, coming in at 5-3, looking to become bowl eligible. So coming from me in this matchup, ooh, man, this should be a good one. And can Notre Dame knock off another ACC team? They knocked off Syracuse last week. Can they knock off Clemson this week? It's going to be a good game, but coming from me, I'm going to go with Dabo Swinney and the undefeated Clemson Tigers to get it done on the road and remain undefeated and defeat the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in a very close shootout. And now next matchup, and this is one of my favorite rivalries in the ACC, between the Florida State Seminoles heading to Miami to face the Miami Hurricanes, aka the U. Now this is the 67th meeting between Florida State and Miami. The U leads the all-time series 35-31. Now the Seminoles won last year's meeting over the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes are looking to defeat the Seminoles for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 9s in the ACC. Florida State's coming out their victory on Saturday over Georgia Tech, coming in at 5-3, looking to become bowl eligible, and Miami's coming off their quadruple overtime victory over Virginia on Saturday, coming in at 4-4. So coming from me in this huge ACC rivalry between two franchises that do not like each other, this rivalry is one of my favorites in the ACC. When it comes to Florida State and Miami, there's so much history with Snellenberger versus Bobby Bowden. The field goal kicks that went wide left, couple years, wide right. Some of the best players that have come out of these two colleges, like Ron Simmons and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's just great. This is a great rivalry in the ACC. Coming from me, I'm going to go with Jordan Travis and the Florida State Seminoles to get it done on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Miami Hurricanes in a slugfest. And now next matchup. It is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Baylor Bears heading to Norman, Oklahoma to face my Oklahoma Sooners. Now this is the 33rd meeting between Baylor and Oklahoma. Oklahoma leads the all-time series 28-4. Now the Bears won last year's meeting over my Sooners, and my Sooners are looking to defeat the Bears for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 9s in the Big 12 Conference. Baylor's coming out their victory over Texas Tech on Saturday, coming in at 5-3, and my Sooners are coming out their big victory over over Iowa State on Saturday, also coming in at 5-3. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown between these two 5-3 squads looking both to become bowl eligible with a victory. This one should be good, but coming from me, our defense has gotten better. Dylan Gabriel's back healthy. I am going to go with Dylan Gabriel, Brett Venables, and my Oklahoma Sooners to get it done at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Baylor Bears in a slobber knocker. Boomer Sooner. And now the final matchups in week number 10 of the college football season coming out of the SEC Conference. Starting off with an SEC West rivalry showdown between the reigning SEC champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide, heading to Death Valley and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to face the LSU Tigers. Now this is the 87th meeting between Alabama and LSU. Alabama leads the old-time series 55-26-5. Now the Crimson Tide have won the last two meetings over the Tigers back in 2020 and last year, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Crimson Tide for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming off their bye week. Alabama's coming in at 7-1, and LSU's coming in at 6-2. So coming from me in this huge SEC West rivalry showdown, talk about a rivalry in the SEC West. It's Alabama and LSU. Nick Saban versus Brian Kelly. I think their first time, if he was there last year, I don't know if you know. Ed Orgeron was there last year. This is Brian Kelly's first year. So we're going to see if Brian Kelly can beat Nick Saban. But coming from me, I am going to go with Nick Saban, Bryce Young, and the Alabama Crimson Tide to get it done on the road and defeat the LSU Tigers in a banger. Roll Tide! And now the final matchup in week number 10, and folks, this is going to be a fantastic and a colossal SEC East rivalry showdown, and College Game Day will be at this game because it's a heavyweight showdown between the undefeated Tennessee Volunteers heading to Athens, Georgia to face the #1 team in the nation and the reigning national champions, the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs. Now this is the 52nd meeting between Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia leads the old-time series 26-23-2. Now the Bulldogs have won the last 5 meetings over the Volunteers dating all the way back to 2017, and the Volunteers are looking to finally defeat the Bulldogs for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming off very good Week 9s in the SEC. Tennessee's coming off their big victory over Kentucky on Saturday, coming in at 8-0, and who would have thought? The Tennessee Volunteers are undefeated and a chance to represent the SEC East in this year's SEC Championship. So this game is huge for the Tennessee Volunteers and Volunteers fans. And the Bulldogs are coming off their victory over Florida on Saturday, coming in undefeated as well at 8-0. So coming from me in this colossal and enormous SEC East rivalry showdown in which College Game Day will be at this game in Athens, if you thought the Tennessee-Alabama game was good, this one could absolutely top it. And it's going to be so much fun to see College Game Day in Athens, Georgia with Reese and Dez and Pat McAfee, Lee Corso and Herb Street and Bear. This one's going to be fun, and we're going to see if it's going to be smoky or it's going to be Ugga for the headgear for Lee Corso. But this pick is tough. This has got to be my toughest pick in college football predictions this year because nobody saw Tennessee being undefeated coming into this game. A lot of people didn't even think they were going to win this many games, but the fact that they beat Alabama, they passed one test, and now they're looking to pass the biggest test and knock off Georgia in Athens. But coming from me, quarterback showdown is going to be fun. Professor Hendon Hooker versus Stetson Bennett. This one's going to be such a fantastic monster game on Saturday for possession of the SEC East and a possible trip to the SEC title game. But coming from me, I picked against Tennessee against Alabama, and that was a mistake I will absolutely take. I took that L with pride because that game was fantastic. So coming from me, I'm going to pick against Tennessee once again, and I'm going to go with Stetson Bennett and the #1 team in the nation, the reigning national champs, the Georgia Bulldogs, to get it done at home and remain undefeated and defeat the Tennessee Volunteers in a classic. And those are my Week 10 college football predictions. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Comment below. Who do you see winning in week number 10 of the college football season? And being it is Halloween, let me know, what was your favorite costume when you were a kid? My favorite costume when I was a kid, I dressed up as Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But let me know what you guys did as a kid as Halloween and who do you dress up as? And let me know, do you see any big upsets coming? And let me know, who do you see winning that massive SEC East showdown between the Volunteers and the Bulldogs? Let me know all of your picks, and as always, represent your college football teams in the comment section. Even if they're having a rough year or they're having an amazing year, still represent them. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comments. comment, like it, and of course reply right back to me. His comments and your opinions are absolutely always welcome on his channel. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching my Week 10 college football predictions today. Again, thank you guys so very much for all the support in the month of October. Now, before you guys go, as always, you guys can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you guys can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button, become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. We are getting dangerously close to 1,100 subscribers on the channel. So if you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you guys waiting for? If you're a fan of professional wrestling when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, the WWE and Ring of Honor, and you're a fan of professional sports when it comes to the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, the NFL, and college football, super kick that subscribe button, folks. It's free and you become part of this bigger, dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys later today for my official New Japan Pro Wrestling's Battle Autumn 2022 predictions. Naito Ospreay 2, Zack Sabre Jr. Evil 5, and Titan and Bushi versus TJP and Francisco Akira. And later tonight for my Week 9 NFL predictions. Later days, guys. Stay dangerous and peace.